Hello, everyone, and inside today's Locked On Canadians, it's trade rumors abound and pre-draft vibe check.
You're Locked On Canadiens, your daily podcast on the Montreal Canadiens, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to episode 1096 of Locked On Canadiens. We are your daily Montreal Canadiens podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, where you get your team every single day of the week, wherever you get your daily podcast, Google, Apple, Spotify, or here on YouTube.com. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel, and remember to make every moment more. And as the playoffs wind down, the sports stop sporting like we want them to, but this summer, FanDuel is hooking up all customers with a boost or a bonus daily. That's right. There's something for everyone all summer long, every single day. Just visit FanDuel.com/lockedon to get started. I am one of your hosts. I am Scott Matla. My co-host is still on her vacation. She will be back for the draft this week. Do not worry about that. I know we're going to keep trudging through this like me through the Elden Ring DLC, which is difficult, but fun. Now, so much has happened from the last time I recorded, not actually, but in theory, things have happened here. So we've got a lot to kind of go over in the show here before we just kind of hang out and keep it light and simple at the end of the show here. Trade rumors are everywhere, which is just a facet of the matter with everything that comes with this time of year. We've heard Laine, we've heard Necas, we've heard this, we've heard that. There's so much going on that I was kind of debating, where do we start? And we're going to go right into Martin Necas here, because this is the big one, because the Hurricanes are fully engaged in potential trade talks at this point. It seems like Necas is not going to be, they're not going to fix this, is how it seems. And this comes from the fourth period, so your grain of salt with this as well. As the Hurricanes carry out trade talks with teams about Martin Necas, the word is Carolina is looking to complete a hockey trade, not a deal strictly for future assets. Teams like Nashville, Seattle, Montreal are among those still believed to be in the mix. So the first thought is, okay, Nashville and Seattle I can kind of get. I'd be curious to see what Seattle is offering in this trade for Martin Necas, seeing as I think they have kind of how Montreal does. Maybe not the biggest current roster, but futures to go along with it. They've drafted very well in recent years. Nashville makes sense. I believe that trade would probably be centered around UC Saros if I were a Nashville Predator, but you can listen to Ann and Emma over at Locked On Predators to get your fill of information on that, or Erica at Locked On Seattle Kraken there. For the Canadians, it's interesting, though, because what does a hockey trade, and if you are listening to this and you can't tell from the inflection of my voice, there are a lot of air quotations happening here, because hockey trade to me is one for one, current player for current player kind of thing here, and I believe that is the intention behind that. So if you were the Montreal Canadiens, what does a hockey trade look like for Martin Necas? And the biggest thing is here is I need to bring up Carolina's cap friendly page, because I would like to see what their roster looks like. And they have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 forwards signed for this upcoming season. Seth Jarvis is an RFA, is very likely coming back. Martin Necas is in there, obviously, as one of those RFAs who may or may not be back, likely looking like not. Jake Gensel's a UFA. Jordan Martinook is born A as a UFA. Stefan Noesen and Teuvo Teravainen. And I kind of look at their defense now. They have Brett Pesce, who's UFA, Brady Shea, who's a UFA, Tony DeAngelo, who's a UFA, Dylan Coghlan is an RFA. Then they have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 players signed through next season, but then it drops off steeply with only Jalen Chatfield and Scott Morrow signed beyond the end of this upcoming season here. So, hockey trade. They have 10 forwards and 6 current defensemen. They likely want to bring back a guy like Brett Pesce, who is one of their key guys, maybe even Brady Shea here. So if you're the Montreal Canadiens, What does a hockey trade look like? You currently have 6 defensemen signed at the NHL level, with a couple who are down in the AHL as well, including Reinbacher, Engstrom, Mailloux, Struble, and Barron, who all have, not Engstrom and Reinbacher, but Mailloux, Struble, and Barron, who have all played NHL games. You have a lot of defensemen signed for next season, with 6 at the NHL level and 5 signed at the AHL level, plus some guys who Justin Barron is an RFA, so he would count as 6, assuming they bring him back. Matthias Norlinder, restricted RFA, a restricted free agent as well with arbitration rights. So the question is, who are you moving out of this? And we're going to talk a lot about more defensive players being traded in our next segment too, because the Winnipeg Jets have made a boo-boo. I'm kind of looking at this roster here, and I'm going Suzuki and Caulfield are likely off the table, as is Uri Slafkovsky. I would assume Doc and maybe Alex Newhook as well, considering what Kent Hughes gave up to get them. Everything else is in play. So I am looking at this roster of NHL forwards here, and I'm not seeing a lot of guys that I go, yep, that's what the Hurricanes want. With Eric Tulsky as their GM, they are heavily focused on the process of this. They look at the numbers. They look at how players are going to fit a system there. And so I'm looking, they're going to ask for a Slafkovsky. They're going to ask for a Caulfield or maybe a Newhook, because they want NHL players and picks sort of thing here. That's something maybe in the forward group the Canadians can't do, because they have a lot of depth coming up in terms of prospect forwards: Oliver Kapanen, Tuck, Farrell, Heineman, Machar, Florian Xhekaj, Xavier Simoneau, Owen Beck, Riley Kidney, Joshua Waugh, etc. So the question becomes, you're shifting to defense. And if they want an NHL player who I think is going to make their team better right now, do you bring in a Mike Matheson? Do you make Matheson your focal point for this trade? Because it seems like if you were picking a player off the roster and based on what the Hurricanes are potentially going to need and how they play, you would want a guy who is in your contending window right now. And Carolina's is slowly but surely shrinking. It's still very wide open if they can get a save or some goals in the playoffs. Is it Mike Matheson, or do they aim a little bit younger? And I can hear the people yelling at me already. Are they going to ask for Lane Hutson? I assume the answer is going to be a no on that. Are they going to ask for Caden Gooley? And that's the name that I've kind of stuck myself on here. Not that I am wanting to trade Caden Gooley. I want to make that part very, very clear. My guess is their ask for the rights to Martin Necas starts probably with Caden Gooley or Michael Matheson, and then probably adding in maybe the Winnipeg first-round pick here. I'd be curious to see would they like Arber Xhekaj as a guy who has a propensity to hit another level still. Can skate well, can shoot, a nasty piece of work that maybe in Carolina's system, which helps a lot of guys find a new defensive level, Xhekaj might thrive in that. I'm imagining Caden Gooley would actually thrive very well in a role like Brett Pesce or Jacob Slavin is playing, and hit that next level of development there with Rod Brind'Amour on the bench. If you were the Canadians, though, are you willing to give up Caden Gooley, a guy that a lot of fans expect to be a pillar on this team going forward? He can play both sides of the defense. We know he can move up and down here, and that with a guy like Reinbacher, with Hutson, with Engstrom, with Mailloux, can Gooley be that balancing act? Because he's entering the last year of his contract before he gets RFA, coming off his entry-level deal. And he's a very interesting contract discussion that, is time for later on there. But a hockey trade for me starts with probably Mike Matheson or Caden Gooley here going to Carolina. And that's a lot. I understand that is a very, very rich price to pay. But you were also getting Martin Necas, a team who is going to potentially be a big piece here. And then, okay, how do you fit him into the Canadiens lineup here? I think you can easily slot him in as your second line center. Maybe Kirby Dach becomes a wing on his line there with Alex Newhook. Maybe Dach is your third line center. Also, what are you going to pay Martin Necas? The Canadians are going to need to move cap out to make this work, which is why I'm thinking Mike Matheson at the top of my brain is the big one. I still don't see this trade happening for a lot of reasons, chief among them being I think Tom Dundon is still a little bit upset about the offer sheet thing from Marc Bergevin, as dumb as that may be. But you know what? What are you going to do? We're going to dive into the other trade rumors and stuff coming up next as well, because Rutger McGroarty and the Winnipeg Jets, things aren't looking so good there. We're going to get that coming up next. But first, as I said off the top of the show, today's show is brought to you by the folks at FanDuel, and I love sports. Folks know that. Soccer, football, baseball, hockey, professional wrestling, I'm counting it. Deal with it. And I love sports. I love them so much. I never want them to stop. But the playoffs are winding down. The NBA's wrapped up. The Stanley Cup Finals are on Monday, and we get fewer games. But that means the sports aren't sporting like I want them to. But FanDuel lets me keep that sports feeling going whenever I want. All I have to do is open the app and dream up bets anytime I'm in the mood. And this summer, FanDuel is hooking up all customers with a boost or a bonus daily. That's right. There's something for everyone every day, all summer long. Go check out what the odds are that at the NHL draft. Who's going to start hitting more dingers in the NHL? The Euros are going on. Copa America is going on. There is something for everybody, and every single day you're going to get a boost from the folks at FanDuel. Just head over to FanDuel.com/lockedon to start making the most out of your summer with FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of Major League Baseball. We are back here at Locked On Canadiens, and we are further diving into trade rumors, because this week's been fun from the outside, because there's some teams like, well, why don't you just sign your restricted free agents? Why don't you just sign your college players? Why can't you just do the thing? Folks, as someone who has become an ardent disliker, you can actually know what, you can call me a hater of the Winnipeg Jets. That's perfectly fine. They are treading a very thin line between total catastrophe and potentially winning a cup. The Winnipeg Jets to me are a very interesting team, and they're getting more interesting now because top prospect Rutger McGroarty seems very unlikely to sign. He already decided to go back to Michigan for a third season, which prospect experts started raising red flags, going, there's nothing left he can really do here. He's already a very good player. He's already, leading Michigan. He does so many good things. He put up 52 points in 36 games last year, was the captain of the World Junior team that won a gold medal, put up 9 points in 7 games. He had 39 points in 39 games before that, and then played in the USNTDP before that, where he put up 69 nice points in 54 games for them. He is a monster out there. Cam Robinson said that his skating has been improved, still maybe not the best skater in the world, but 6'1", 205 pounds, loves to just put pucks in dangerous areas. And the Winnipeg Jets don't seem to be in a position to sign him, or he does not want to sign with them. And I gotta say, I'm all about that. They appear likely to trade him, coming from all sorts of sources across there. Murat Addis, Ken Wiebe, Mike McIntyre, a lot of people in the Jets circle of media have all said the same thing, that it's just not going to happen. This is a direct quote from the Winnipeg Free Press. In the sense, it appears that McGroarty has entered the "it's not me, it's you" territory. And I gotta say, I think he's kind of entitled to that. We saw this with Cutter Gauthier, and we've seen this with certain other players. And I'm wondering what the holdup is on this. That is, it's like I look at Rutger McGroarty and I look at the Jets lineup. Okay, maybe not better than Mark Scheifele, Kyle Connors, Nikolai Ehlers, maybe not Gabe Vilardi, but there's not a lot of other guys on this roster that'd be like, yeah, he's not better than that. He's not likely to make that NHL team right out of camp. They have 12 forwards signed right now. And then they have 4 UFA or 4 free agents, one of which is Cole Perfetti, which we will get to in a moment. Tyler Toffoli, UFA, Sean Monahan, UFA, David Gustafson, restricted free agent, Cole Perfetti, restricted free agent. But then their roster falls off a cliff after this season. The coward Mark Scheifele is signed forever. Kyle Connor signed for another year after this one. But Ehlers, UFA after this year. Iafallo, UFA. Nino Niederreiter signed for 2 more seasons after this upcoming one. Gabe Vilardi's an RFA after this season. Adam Lowry is got 1 more year left. But Appleton, Nemesnikov, Barron, Rasmus Kupari, and Axel Janssen Fjallby are all hitting free agency after this season is over. It's a 1-year wait, which is not the biggest deal in the world. But where the issue has come up is, as I understand it from reading through things on Jets Twitter, is McGroarty has seen the way that Cole Perfetti and Ville Heinola have been managed in the Winnipeg Jets system. They're not given those same opportunities that other players are, and that is frustrating them. Ville Heinola is 23 years old and hasn't cracked the roster full time yet, and it's been up, down, up, down, up, down. And I look at from the time he came over, he played 8 games with the Winnipeg Jets, put up 5 points after coming over from Finland. Good. Played 5 games and then 19 games in the AHL during the COVID year. Maybe a little bit difficult. Played 19 games in Finland that year as well. The next year, 12 games in Winnipeg, 5 assists, 41 games in the AHL, 26 points. Pretty good. This past season, 10 games with the Winnipeg Jets, 1 assist. 48 games in the AHL where he put up 37 points. This is a guy that is screaming out that he is far too good to be in the AHL. But okay, maybe his NHL time hasn't been great. But at the same time, you're telling me that a guy like Logan Stanley, who gets chance over chance over chance, is better than that? Are we sure about that? And then there's Cole Perfetti, who was a top 10 pick, a very, very good player in the OHL, put up 111 points in one of the seasons. His first AHL season, which was in that weird COVID year, 26 points in 32 games, played for Canada at the World Championships, played for Canada at the under-20s where he put up 6 points in 7 games. Pretty good. Played 18 games in the NHL last year, put up 7 points. Respectable, put up 15 points in 17 games in the AHL. World Juniors were canceled the year after that. Last year, 30 points in 51 games with the Jets, 38 in 71 this year. But the fans' issue with Cole Perfetti is that it seems like his usage is getting less and less. Rutger McGroarty seems to see this and goes, I don't want to do that. I'm good enough to make this roster. They don't want to do that. He doesn't want to go through that process. So in enters Kent Hughes and the Montreal Canadiens. Because this is a guy now that I look at who fits the timeline of what the Canadiens are looking for. He is the right age, plays on the... he has everything this team is going to look for. He's a center winger. He can play both. Maybe he comes in as your third-line center to start, and you give him a guy like Yoel Armia and Joshua Waugh, and you let them play. Maybe he's a winger on that second line with Kirby Dach and Alex Newhook or whomever. He's just 20, or he just turned 20. The Canadiens' contending window probably isn't this year, but is going to start going into next season, that the expectation is there. This is the perfect time to bring him in, get him adjusted, and give him NHL ice time. And my thought is they could trade for him and probably offer him an entry-level deal immediately, and he would probably take it. I know he said he was going back to Michigan, but if he were traded to the Montreal Canadiens, I bet that would change in an instant. And I think that the team might be hurting a little bit on that front, but it would absolutely make sense on his part that, hey, I want to play. Also, if he doesn't make the team right out of camp, he's going to play in a very good AHL system. We will see how that coaching search all goes. But I look at this and I go, even if he's there for a second, there's a chance he's going to play more NHL games with the Canadiens than he would with the Jets this exact season here. And I think that he's shifting into that thing there. We've talked about Natchez. We've talked about Laine. We've talked about Trevor Zegras here. And I'm wondering, because this is just rights. This isn't even a player who's signed. You are trading for the rights. And I wonder, for Winnipeg, they get their first round pick back and they need some help on defense potentially. And I'm wondering if a guy like Jordan Harris, a guy like, I know they love old guys, but I don't think David Sfard's going to get it done. But Jordan Harris is kind of the odd man out here. I wonder if someone like him or a William Trudeau, a younger guy who is on their way up, or if they want Justin Barron and reunite the Barron brothers out there, and balance this trade out, because McGroarty's not going to sign them. They're going to lose him for nothing at the end of next year. Not this season, but after his 4th year of eligibility. They're going to lose him if they don't sign him. And it seems like he doesn't want to sign there at all. Okay. Let the Canadiens swoop in there. Give Winnipeg their first round pick back. The player you're going to get, the rights to this player you're going to get are probably worth more than that first round pick, and insert defensive prospect or young NHL defenseman here right now that maybe aren't going to hit that level with the Canadiens, who are going to be overloaded on defense shortly. And if they trade for Rutger McGroarty, you know what you do? You can pick a defenseman at 5th overall and not be happy with it. Let's have your say, folks. Are you excited about the idea of Rutger McGroarty in a Montreal Canadiens uniform? Let us know. Tweet us at LO_Canadiens, LockedOnCanadiens@gmail.com. It is draft week. We're going to get a vibe check going, and that's coming up next. But first, passion, drive, and patience. It's the formula for winning championships. It's also what keeps your ride or die alive. eBay Motors has everything you need to maintain your vehicle and level it up to peak performance, from superchargers to roof racks, exhaust kits, LED headlights, and more. Whether you're into speed, power, or style, eBay Motors has you covered. With over 122 million parts for your number one ride or die, you'll always find exactly what you're looking for. And with eBay Guaranteed Fit, your part is guaranteed to fit your ride every time, or your money back. Because with eBay Motors, you're burning rubber, you're not burning cash. And with all the parts you need at prices you want, it's easy to make your car the MVP and bring home huge wins. So keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply. eBay Guaranteed Fit available only to United States customers. We're back here at Locked On Canadiens, and I was thinking, maybe we'll get some news. Maybe something will happen as I'm recording this, or we're going through this offseason here. And right now, nope. There's not much. It's a little quiet. The rumors are flooding out there and everything. So the question is, how are we feeling heading into the NHL draft? It is Sunday when I'm recording this, a handful of days away from the best day of the year at Sphere. No, not a Dead & Company concert, as much as fun as that sounds like. But the draft is right around the corner, and still there's not a single idea who the Canadiens are picking. Not a clue at all. And you know what? I'm feeling pretty good about that, surprisingly, because it means that there's a lot of potentially good picks here. We talked about in the tier list that, you have Demidov, you have Lindstrom, you have Iginla in my S tier. You have that crop of BPA players, whether it be Beckett, Seneca, Berkeley Catton, a defenseman in there, a Zeev Buyam, a Sam Dickinson, Zane Pareka, etc. in that group there. And then even the tier below that, whether that be Catton or not, Liam Greentree, etc., maybe reaching a little bit further there, Brandsegg, Nygaard, etc. I'm kind of good with where the Canadiens are at right now. Is that the vibe going into this, is that I'm giddy because I know they're getting a good player out of this. You're picking top 5. You're getting probably some of the best defensemen available in the draft. And I'm looking at smart people who have released their mock drafts. Corey Pronman's been pretty dead on with who the Canadiens have been picking in recent years. Demidov keeps coming up in his mock draft for the Canadiens. Oh, they'll hold their nose and take it. Yeah, okay, whatever, fine. I don't have to agree with your idea behind that, but I can like the idea of that. And if, Demidov goes second to Chicago, okay, Iginla, Catton, Lindstrom, Seneca technically is in there as well. There's those guys there. I'm not as nervous. Last year, I was kind of upset because there were really good forwards that I wanted in that draft. I liked Zach Benson. I really liked Matvei Michkov, who is apparently signing with the Flyers now, which can't wait for the discussion around that this week. It's going to be really good for everything. And even the year before that, it's like, are they going to take Wright? Are they going to take Cooley? And they end up with Slafkovsky, who's turned out to be pretty darn good so far. I'm not as worried about it as I used to be. The vibes are good. And the thing is, there's enough potential trade stuff floating around here is that everything feels like we're getting closer and closer to Christmas. I might be 33 years old, but I love getting close that week because one, it's not only that, it's my birthday. And also it's Christmas, is that you wake up and see, what did I get? What did my loved ones get for me? What did my Montreal Canadiens get me for Christmas in June this year? Maybe they're trading for Rutger McGroarty. Maybe they're trading for Trevor Dugan. Maybe they're buying a soccer team. I don't know. And I don't think they can actually do it. They could. The Molsons have enough money to do that. But it's becoming one of those things that's like, I don't know what they're going to do, but I'm not worried about what they're going to do. In previous years, the previous regime was like, I don't know what you're really up to. And that worries me more than anything else in the world because I don't know what you're doing. Like Michael McCarron came out of nowhere. Noah Juleson, Ryan Poehling all kind of made sense with their picks, but a guy like Michael McCarron, not a clue. Didn't know what they were going to do. They almost drafted Morgan Riley instead of Alex Galchenyuk in the first draft. Cole Caulfield came out of nowhere. There were a lot of good guys there. Krebs, Newhook, ironically now a Canadian, and Caulfield. They picked Caulfield there. This year, it's like after getting mad at the Slavkovsky pick, being frustrated with Reinbacher and looking at the way they've slowly started to turn the corner there, I can trust the staff to make the right decision for this team. The vibes are good on my end. I'm nervous because I just want to get it over with because the discussion is grinding down now. It's like, we know, we've seen the mock drafts. We've seen what everybody wants. We're close. I promise you. But now it becomes, okay, let's just get there. It is Sunday, June 23rd, 12:06 p.m. As of right now, the Canadiens have not traded anybody. They don't have an AHL coach currently. Come Monday morning, they might have a new one. I'm assuming that John Sedgwick has been very busy all weekend here, just working the phones, trying to find a coach to set up interviews and everything else. And yeah, it's going to be a busy week because you have guys who need new contracts July 1st or can sign extensions on July 1st. A guy like Yuri Slavkovsky is eligible for an extension on July 1st. That's not something light. That might rise up there and they might go, we want to extend him now before those point totals potentially increase. Who knows? The draft is there. They need a coach. There's so many little things. It is my favorite time of the year because it's 2 weeks of just pure chaos. All the lead up to the draft and trades heading into the draft, then free agency, and then you have development camp where we get to watch all the shiny new toys, do all the stuff there, and then boom, nothing. Ghost town. We get an AHL signing, and it's the biggest news in the world. But we're getting closer and closer to those 2 weeks of chaos. My favorite 2 weeks of chaos. So I'd say sit down, relax, enjoy the end of the Cup final. I know I said Florida in 6, and I really thought they were going to do it, and then they blew it. I can't bet against the Oilers right now, and I'm hoping I'm reverse jinxing this, but Game 7 is going to be a riot down in Florida. Tune in and enjoy because after that game ends, everything is going, all hell will break loose in that. And then you're not going to get any peace for 2 weeks if you're a hockey podcaster like I am or a content creator like I am, or Laura is as well. I know she's not here, but the vibes are good. How are you feeling heading into the NHL draft? Remember, you can tweet us at LO_Canadiens, Locked On Canadiens. I want to hear from you. What are you feeling? What are your bold predictions for the draft here? Email us your bold predictions. We'll read them out as we head into the end of the week here because we love you and that's what we want to do on this show. You can follow me on Twitter at Scott Matley. You can follow the show wherever you get your daily podcasts, Google, Apple, Spotify, and beyond, here on YouTube.com as well. Thank you so much for tuning in, everybody, and we will see you all next time.